For 8 consecutive years, it's become a rite of spring as the NCAA's best student athletes gather here at the Randall Tyson Center on the campus of the University of Arkansas. Today, it's the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships on ESPN, presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. In those 8 years, we've always tried to show as much of the competition as possible, so we're going to get started quickly. To help us set up one of the men's team favorites, here's Quint Kesnick.
Walter Dix, Florida State's junior, delivered the most impressive performance thus far at the championships. He ran a 20.40 in the prelims. That's the second fastest time in the world this year. I spoke to him earlier. He is calm in an arena filled with chaos. He said he's feeling the tension, the anticipation, the apprehension. The hardest thing for him, though, is managing the waiting game. He looks warmed up and focused. Keep in mind, it's actually easier for him mentally competing in multiple events. Already today, he's running the 60-meter prelim and the 200-meter prelim.
Well, that'll set the scene for you. Our first event of the meet, the men's 200-meter dash, the American and meet record held by Wallace Spearman from 2 years ago. That's the second fastest time in history. Lane 3, ARMAN Dixon, we'll get to him in a minute. Walter Dix out in lane 5, really carrying the hopes of Florida State here at this meet. But every one of these finalists have run very fast on a track that we know is very fast, Larry.
Ruben Williams will have the outside in lane 6, 1.5 hours after his great 200 meters to make it to the final. 20.55 seconds is what he turned in his heat. Walter Dix, you just heard about from Quint. This young man ran just 1/100th off the fastest time in the world this year, just an hour and a half ago. How fast can he go in this heat? Reggie Witherspoon, the senior Baylor 400-meter runner, dropping down to 200 meters and made the final of the big race here. He is a Big 12 outdoor champion at 200 meters. And this is the star as far as I'm concerned. ARMAN Dixon from Sacred Heart University in Fairfield County, Connecticut. What a shock for these guys to make the final. Congratulations for Dixon on what he's accomplished.
Every one of these guys ran very fast in the prelims. They're coming back an hour and a half later. But Walter Dix is used to this. In fact, he says he likes running many different events in a track meet. It keeps his focus on what he's doing. And Dixon out much better this time than he was in his prelim. He had a lousy start in the 62, but he is serious here. Walter Dix tearing it up in lane 5. Completely goes by Ruben Williams, blows his doors off. Reggie Witherspoon trying to catch him in lane 4. Walter Dix, if he can keep it together, this is going to be a smoking time. Walter Dix, 20.33, fastest time in the world this year.
Just astounding stuff. He runs 20.40 an hour and a half ago, comes back and runs 20.32 seconds. It's just amazingly high quality stuff on an admittedly very fast track. Nice high bank. This is probably as fine a 200-meter track as there is in the world because the banks are high and you can slingshot down the straightaway off them. Congratulations to him. He turned down a pro contract a year ago and said, I would like to get my degree. If they offer me the moon, I might consider it, but if they don't, I'm simply going to wait, and I'm going to graduate here from Florida State.
Well, Quint, I hope that he can talk to you after that effort.
Dwight, he is a little winded. Walter, what was it, an advantage or disadvantage having Ruben to your outside where you could see him?
It was an advantage. He ran his race. He ran good. But I knew I had to make up speed. I knew I'd get him right on that curve. So that's what I did. Made a commitment to excellence. Been training like it.
Does 20.32 say excellence?
I hope it does. I mean, that's for you to judge, you know.
Congratulations, Walter. World-class speed.
Well, that gets the Seminoles off to a nice start. Walter Dix, fastest time in the world in 2007, 20.32, makes it look like Ruben Williams was way back in 20.63. Chris Dykes gets third. Okay, let's take a look and see what the coaches think will happen at this NCAA Indoor Championship. They say on the men's side, Wisconsin over Florida State, then Texas, Auburn, and Baylor. And on the women's side, Arizona State, Michigan, LSU, Georgia, South Carolina. And the way we look at the entries that they have coming in here, we will just have to wait and see how it unfolds. Coming up, the women's 200-meter dash featuring overall team contender LSU and sprinter Kellyanne Baptiste. And Auburn's Karan Stewart, who ran a world-leading 22.76 in her prelim.
NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships, presented on ESPN by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up. And in part by the Home Depot. Share your inspiring story at homedepot.com/true stories.
Welcome back to Fayetteville. The next event on the track, the women's 200-meter A final. These are the fastest women from the earlier prelims. It's a two-section final, and the places are determined on time. But these were the fastest women in the earlier heats. The American record held by Michelle Collins from 4 years ago. The meet record from Veronica Campbell, who went to school right here in Arkansas. This is how they will line up. Shalonda Solomon in lane 3 is a late scratch. And in 5, Karan Stewart of Auburn, who has the world-leading time from the heats, 22.76. She won the 60 and the 200 at the SEC meet for the second year in a row. Lane 4, that's Kellyanne Baptiste.
And a junior from Trinidad, and continuing the great hurdle sprint tradition that's gone on for years at LSU. And they are definitely in the thick of things in the early going for the possible team title. Auburn up there in the rankings that are done weekly during the indoor season have slipped a bit here. Karan Stewart is from Jamaica, and these are two of the best in the world. A late scratch, Shalonda Solomon from South Carolina.
200 meters is such a fast race that they don't even bother to use any lanes below lane 3 for a final.
It's a benefit to be high in the turn like this because you run more downhill than flat during the race. Watch, that's all downhill here.
Karan Stewart out in lane 5 looks to have the early lead. Kellyanne Baptiste trying to catch her, but Stewart looks just as strong as she did in the earlier heat. She has made up the stagger on Simone Facey. Here comes Karan Stewart off the turn, lifting into the final straightaway. Karan Stewart is going to win this heat in 22.58 unofficially. It's much faster than the first section, and that improves on her world leader, which she ran earlier by quite a bit. She ran 22.76 in the heat. She now officially runs 22.59.
Dwight, that to put this in perspective, no one else in the world, no other woman has run within a quarter of 1 second of that time over 200 meters. It's just tremendous stuff. Look at the lead she amasses early in the race. Coming off the turn right now, she's got the rest of the field by a step and a half. Kellyanne Baptiste on her inside has had a terrific season. Look at the long striding woman. Kellyanne Baptiste also runs the third fastest time in the world with her time of 22.91 seconds, Dwight.
Coming up from Fayetteville, the men's and women's 60-meter hurdles. The LSU women qualified a pair to the final, and their push for points continues.